Speaking of catastrophe, let's get to the areas during this press conference in which he came up a little bit short or seemed to be stepping into territory that his team was obviously hoping to avoid. Again, we've already given our overall impression of his performance, but we're gonna be fair, we're gonna be nuanced so that we can be attacked by as many people as possible. So with that said, Paul Begala is a Democratic strategist. Here are his thoughts. He was on CNN with Anderson Cooper talking about the Joe Biden press conference.
I saw substantive mastery. I mean, my goodness, it was a tour de force and a tour of the world. We talk a lot, of course, about NATO and Ukraine, but about China, about Israel, Gaza. He seemed to have the substance really at his command. Stylistically, though, you still had the soft voice. You didn't have the kind of catastrophic failure he had at the debate, but you also didn't have the same sort of command that he had at his inaugural. So the substance was great, the style not. He is already getting static for slipping and saying Vice President Trump, which, anybody could do that, Tucker. You just get a name wrong.
Thanks, James Carville.
Oh, you almost missed that.
Yeah, okay, well, it got weirdly awkward there. Well, let's get into some of those slip-ups that were alluded to and joked about there. So here's the first.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Okay, so as soon as the words go out, I'm sure everyone in the room is like, oh, that's not good. Now he caught it. He realized that he'd made the mistake, which is good. You can make that sort of mistake and not realize it, which is worse. And he corrected it, but then I think that he overcorrected in trying to explain. Oh, the reason I said it was because I'm so focused on Putin. That's probably not why. But he caught it. And there was another very similar sort of slip up. Take a look.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
I was listening live when I heard that, and I was like, "Oh no, a Truth Social post is coming from that." Like, I do think it's a thing where, how like it happens very often. I'm sure you do it while you're talking, and certainly while you're listening to me. You're simultaneously doing that, and then you're prepping. You're like, you've got something on the back burner.
Doomsday, yes.
I think his back and front burners are closer now. And so it's easy to bleed over, I think, because in both of those cases, it's not like he said a random name or something, like even as random as saying Nikki Haley instead of Nancy Pelosi. Like what the hell? Those have nothing to do with each other. In this case, they definitely have something to do with each other, but you want to avoid those. And without those couple of things, it would have been a fairly flawless, if not necessarily a masterclass appearance. So those do stand out. But do you think it's fair to focus on those? Is that nitpicking? What do you think?
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
I don't, John. I disagree that these were big blunders. I just think, I get Trump and Biden.
I'm not saying they're big blunders. I'm saying they stood out.
Yeah, they definitely stood out. But I get Trump and Biden's name confused all the time, but that's also says more about them than it does about me, I think. But also we're forgetting he's old. He's just old.
I did forget
and again, and his politics are old and his thinking is old, and we absolutely would have a better chance of defeating Donald Trump if there was just a little bit of reinvigoration into this goddamn campaign. Don't hate me for saying the truth. But yeah, I think I'm a little bit tired of like focusing on just his style, because I think the style is really adjacent to the message. And he actually doesn't really have a good unifying message other than stop Trump, which I know, yes, we all understand that's the biggest message, and actually that's the biggest task. But in order to get people out to the polls, you need something more than that. And he even got rid of Build Back Better by his own goddamn party. Joe Manchin was the one who killed that, right? And it pieced off into different things, the Inflation Reduction Act, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. But again, John, it's like, where's the unifying thing? We built this country back. We're coming back. Like even that, we're coming back. Let's go. We're coming back like an STI.
I'm gonna leave it to the audience to think about what that was the first thing that you thought of. But anyway, yeah, look, and we obviously disagree with different components of it, whatever. But I think that the last couple of weeks have been a reminder that branding does matter. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. Having Build Back Better at least it's a specific thing that you can refer to. Like having Project 2025 is a specific thing that your enemies can refer to. So sometimes it doesn't help. But like his core message generally, and I know this because anytime you're like, hey, are you the best person to beat Trump? He'll start talking about like, we inherited a blah, 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 and we did this and things are getting better. Which that doesn't actually answer the question of whether you're the best person to stop him. Like all of that might be true, but that either it has won over voters or it hasn't. And saying like, are you the best person to beat Trump? And then say, well, we got a lot of challenges coming forward. No, I understand that. That's why I'm asking the question. That's not an answer to the question. That's why the question matters. And those challenges remain, whether it's you or whether it's Harris or Newsom or whatever. So it's like, yes, we've had difficulty in the past. Yes, there are challenges in the future. That's not a specific thing. When he brought up, corporate greed or whatever, like he's been doing that a little bit throughout the year. He's talking about shrinkflation and stuff. That could be sort of encapsulated into a brand. If it was a President Bernie right now, I'm sure that it would be. Like you need something specific more than just, hey, the inflation numbers have been getting better, which they have. It's true. Prices are going down and unemployment's looking pretty good. Like these things are true, but you can't just keep saying the same things because clearly over the last few months, it hasn't been enough. You need to transition to something else. But that said, we're gonna get more into the policy of it in our B block. In the few minutes we have remaining for this though, I wanna turn to the response, not from like MSNBC or CNN, but from Fox News. Here's what they had to say, I believe, over on Fox and Friends.
I think he did fine. I thought he did fine.
That's right, I'm telling you.
If this was just a press conference, we would have said, oh, look, he made 2 mistakes. All right, but this is the worst possible scenario for Democrats.
Yeah.
Because he didn't blow, like he wasn't clueless. Right. There was no freezing moments. There was no, there was a typical Joe Biden miss-up. Saying that Donald Trump was vice president, obviously terrible, but it's typical of Joe Biden.
Yeah, but again, as we've said, those sorts of things happen. They even happened in right there where Kilmeade said he had a miss-up. I'm sure that's not what he intended to say, but sometimes your tongue gets away from you. But so to the substance of what they said, it's the worst thing that could have happened. Obviously, if it had been the most dynamic speech that we'd ever heard, then that would be a good thing. If it was an absolute disaster, then maybe this thing is done. Instead, it's fine. So they're saying that kind of just continues forward with Biden, but doesn't reassure people. So let's discuss whether we think that's true. But bear in mind, like the right is pretty clear. Some of them are delighting in this. Some of them are trying to hide it while having their cake and eating it too. That a lot of people on the right want it to be Biden. Okay, and if you're a huge fan of Biden, I apologize if it makes you angry to acknowledge that the right wants to run against Joe Biden. That's just what it is. They could be wrong. Maybe we'll prove them wrong and they'll get destroyed in November. But right now, they clearly want it to be Biden. You see it in Donald Trump is going on long screeds attacking George Clooney for questioning Joe Biden. Like, why do you think he's doing that? The Heritage Foundation is planning legal action to stop any states from replacing Joe Biden on the ballot. Why are they going to all that trouble? And I know. Reverse psychology, but I don't think that's actually what it is. I think they're looking at the same polls that we are, and maybe they'll be wrong, maybe we'll be wrong, but as of right now, that seems pretty clear. That said, what do you think?
They can't do double reverse psychology. They're only smart enough to master one, John. So the goading Biden to stay is all they can do. I think, there's no 7D chess happening from the right. They want it to be Biden because they see the polls like we see the polls. They hear him the way we hear him. And they're like, oh, this might be an easier layup than we think. And I think they're right. Look, they have to know people are not switching Biden to Trump. They know that, we know that. I'm just gonna state that for those of you who feel like, I don't know where CNN wheels out the last remaining undecided voters who've been in a coma and bless them for it for the last 5 years. But no, what's going to happen is there will be low voter turnout. People won't get excited about Joe Biden in the places that it matters and the counties that it matters. And he won't get the electorates that he needs or and so that's what's gonna happen. And Jesse Waters on Fox News, is essentially going like, poor Biden, my God, he was great. Everyone, shouldn't we love him? Wink, wink. Like they have seen, and this is so funny because they've spent like 3 years breathlessly saying that he's a criminal mastermind and he's doing everything behind the scenes and he's weaponizing the Justice Department against Donald Trump and all of his, his foes. And then they're like, oh, he is just as ineffective and kind of unable to express the things that he's been effective in as the Democrats have thought, And so, yeah, we want to stick with him.
Yeah, I mean, look, once Jesse Waters gets involved, then it becomes a little bit obvious. He's obviously physically incapable of sympathy or empathy. So if he's pretending to experience that, there's clearly something leading him to that. But anyway, look, and I've said 1,000 times, do I need to say again to avoid getting the tweets? If it's him, I'll support him, obviously. But it doesn't have to be him. That's all I'm saying.
And I meant electors. Okay.
Electors, sure.
I meant President Putin electors.
And as you pointed out, there's probably not going to be a lot of people switching over as a result of this, but that doesn't mean that the numbers can't change. And I know what some people say, at the end of the day, don't worry, people hate Trump so much that they're going to come out and vote anyway. Well, but if that is the case, then that does not require Biden.
Yeah.
They'll still hate Trump even if it's Harris. Maybe they'll hate him more. I don't know.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.